we should be allowed to banter, and that if people can't take it, they're weak. And so that really drives this culture of toxicity around bullying in the workplace.
Yeah, it does.
I guess my take on workplace bullying is that banter is the I give myself permission to be a bully without taking ownership of my behaviour.
Yeah.
There's a real essence of that kind of behaviour, I guess, that I've seen in sight over the last few weeks that I've been having these conversations, is that we should be allowed to banter, and that if people can't take it, they're weak. And so that really drives this culture of toxicity around bullying in the workplace.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's interesting, there's been quite a lot of research around workplace bullying. Globally, like about 15% of bullying, the prevalence of bullying is around 15%. In mining in Australia, it's up at 56%, which is huge. And that's not just been on one study, it's been on multiple different studies.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, there's a real misconception around it being an issue with interpersonal relationships. It actually is a symptom of organisational ill health, which is quite an interesting part of it, isn't it? And some big factors that contribute to workplace bullying: low job autonomy, lots of rules and restrictions, lack of communication. Also, when we've got, I guess within mining, predominantly one gender as a dominator. Also, what's come out of a lot of research is a lot of people don't actually know what bullying is. You know, what actually constitutes as being bullying. So bullying is essentially, as you've been talking about, unwanted jaunts or things at a person, and that person who's delivering it might think it's funny, but the other person is actually just dying inside, you know. It can be withholding really important information so that another person isn't able to do their job effectively. It's humiliating behaviour. You know, we spoke about the gay person who was being, you know, sort of whipped on the backside. That's really quite humiliating. You know, they're all different things that constitute it, but a lot of people don't realise that that's actually bullying behaviour. So it's a fascinating and complex piece, isn't it?
I think it's interesting that you talk about the organisational aspect of like communication and autonomy, because on site I've had conversations with leaders who have kind of like got the approach of, well, if they don't like the way that we're doing things, then they can
move on,
which is really fascinating to me, that they're unwilling to consider their own part in the process of bullying. And what I saw on site was, we did this process where I got everyone to close their eyes and ask people if they'd experienced bullying in the last 2 to 4 weeks, was the last question. And it was 1 in 4, 1 in 5 as an average across the group. And you've got 1,000 people on site, that's 200 people who are feeling bullied or harassed, which is going to have an impact on culture.
It's a lot, it totally is. And often too, I guess from a leadership perspective, if they're getting pressure from higher up, then they can start to exhibit those behaviours, and then from there that gets pushed down to the team, and then the team will start doing it. And if people see bullying happening, you know, they can be more inclined to doing it themselves, or siding with the perpetrator of bullying so that they don't get bullied themselves. So it sort of ends up creating this really fertile ground for inappropriate behaviours to take place, which is quite scary and concerning, and it contributes a lot to depression, anxiety and suicidal ideation, which is, you know, all the things that
we're seeing in mining.
We're seeing a lot up in mining, yeah.